What's up, everybody, and welcome to the iReach Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Robinson, founder and CEO of ConstructReach, a national consultancy and initiative that aims to diversify the construction, design, and innovation industries and empower a younger generation. Every single week, we are here merging education, industry, and culture with a variety of featured guests that you do not want to miss. So let's go, iReach.
Hey everyone, it is Rebecca Wilson here with you today. I will be your interim host. Today, I'm going to be diving into a quick but very valuable conversation with Meredith, our client manager, and our education and program manager, Jennifer. Meredith, how are you doing today?
I am great. How are you today? Excited to be here. You know, I always love jumping on podcasts. So let's do this.
Yes, yeah, good. Thank you for being here. Jennifer, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to rock this out. Excited to get to talk to some of my favorite people.
Awesome. Well, thank you both again for joining me today. I'm going to jump right into it. We'll start with Meredith. Meredith, as our client manager, you come alongside of our clients, and I really want to dive into what we do for the GCs and our brands. So can you kind of paint us a picture of your day-to-day? What does that comprise of?
Oh my gosh, my day-to-day could be a number of things. On average, I am just kind of communicating with the clients on what their needs look like, facilitating that out to the team. So whether it's, hey, we want to post this, and I'll send them over to you, Rebecca, or hey, you know, we had a question about this DEI thing, or, you know, we're thinking about a survey for this, that, and the third. So I say putting out fires, but it's not really fires. It's really just, you know, help guiding and facilitating the clients down this DEI path, if you will, on one end of things. And on the other end of things, it's the workforce development piece. So the recruitment, the new hires, the training development of the new hires. Jen and I just jumped off a call where we did a little bit of training for some of the new hires and managers with one of our clients. And then honestly, a very large part of my job is just being flexible, being quick sometimes, and being nimble, because a lot of times, you know, especially in this startup space, which is awesome because you get to do and learn and be challenged by so many things, that it's like, okay, I get an email over here, but my phone's ringing. And so I look like that lady that's, you know, like typing, and I'm like, okay, I got it. But it's really about just balancing it all and helping our clients get down to this DEI initiative, helping them set their goals, and then guiding them towards those goals. And then of course, those high fives at the end, once they attain those goals. So whether it's, you know, community outreach with schools, or it's, you know, hey, we want to hire, you know, 30% diverse candidacy, or whatever the case may be, just helping them get there, and then helping utilize the team skill sets to again guide them down that path.
Yes, yeah. I mean, as our listeners can tell, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, we really appreciate Meredith. There's a lot that goes into it, but we are very intentional, you know, about partnering with our clients and making sure that they feel partnered with. So speaking of partnering with them and the offerings that we have, can you kind of touch on those offerings that we offer our GCs and brands or versus each other?
Yeah, so a lot of times with our general contractors, some of the things that we offer them obviously would be recruitment for the workforce development piece. It would be the community outreach framework to again help them touch base with the industry, or help them partner, not with the industry, help them partner with the educators, if you will. We talk about their DEI initiatives. And so I know Jen will definitely dive into her part of it because, I mean, she's a true rock star in that department. But it looks like the surveys to help them with onboarding or engagement, especially from office to field. A lot of times with the field, unfortunately, it's an out of sight, out of mind, and it's definitely not intentional. But, you know, when you see the same, you know, 40 people every day, that's who you interact with. And then you've got Bob over here who's been working, you know, 3 states away. And you're like, oh, I should order him tacos for lunch. Let him know I appreciate him. So keeping that field engagement piece, or it may look like creating a DEI committee to help kind of drive that initiative company-wide, or sometimes it's the messaging to let the company know, hey, this is what we're working on right now. This is the direction we want the company to go in. We want to make sure that not only are we diverse in our workforce, but you guys feel heard and you feel like you're a part of the team that makes us operate. So it's a lot of those pieces. And for the brands, it's really about ensuring that as they are having their stores created, built, remodeled, whatever the case may be, those general contractors, i.e. our clients, are really modeling who's in that community. So, for instance, if you're building next to a college, you want to make sure that there are students, or at least those who look like students, those who are ages 21 to maybe 26, that are on that job site, that are doing something productive. Because as those college students are coming in, they want to say, oh, okay, that's reflective. I feel a part of this build. And so, you get into the whole, I built this and I'm wearing our shirt today, but having the brands have that reflective piece be shown through their general contractors.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, you touched on why it's so important for them to see people like them in the industry. And we're going to dive into that after we talk with Jen a little bit more. But I do want to wrap around back to that, because again, it ties in with our I Built This event that we have a lot of in the fall. So stay tuned for that at the end. But yes, as as a client manager, going through this every day and seeing how we help different partners in different ways, what would you say is the most unique and important, if you will, offering as a workforce development consultancy that we offer?
So this is probably a question I'm going to answer personally, and that's only because I think about what is the most impactful, especially as it relates to my department. And of course, Jen's going to differ because, again, her passion behind her department would look different. So Jen, answer the question too, but I would have to say the recruitment piece. And the reason being is because I talk to so many young adults, so many ages 18 to 24, that they want to get into the industry. They have an uncle that's been doing it for X amount of years, or, they've learned a few things through, various programs or whatever. And then they're like, but how do I get there? And then I get to come along and say, not only do I have a place for you to get your foot in the door, I'm going to guide you. I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to walk down this path. And even when you get there, you're still going to see my face. So get used to it. So I would have to say that is probably, on a personal note, I think the most impactful thing. And then I think for us to follow it up on the general or the client side, of the GC side, is what we affectionately call it, and say, as we're bringing these young people in, let's make sure that the culture we bring them into is somewhere where they can thrive and grow and develop and really feel a part of. Because of the age gap that you have between who's currently in the industry and who needs to be in the industry, you want to make sure that when they get there, they don't just say, okay, that was fun, and then they leave. They stick and stay. They had an affinity. Because without the industry of construction, you don't have the world doesn't go round. You think about how many highways have been built in the last decade that, cut your drive from, where you are now to home. We wouldn't have that without construction. So we need that. We need we need those young talents to be here. So they need to be welcomed in order to stay.
And a really big part of what we do, going back to what you just mentioned, Meredith, is that we are preparing the construction industry to be ready to accept that young talent. That's a really big part of what we do. And that's one of my favorite parts as well. So Jen, I'm interested to see what you think is our most important offering that we have as a workforce development consultancy.
Absolutely. So Rebecca, I see it that we have to have all of it, right? Cohesively. We have to inform the industry of why, right? So we have to have the education component. And then we have to partner with educators, because that's access to talent, right? That's the young, diverse talent pipeline that we're building. So it's that relationship, as well as we really have to lean into DEI. We really have to make sure that when we're getting talent and we're sending them somewhere, that company recognizes what they need to be and what that culture needs to inform or look like for that talent to grow and develop and stick and stay, right? And continue to have that pathway. So it's really, my answer is really all of the pieces, right? That's why we have it set up the way we do, because it's not a one place holds the most impact. They all work connected to each other, and DEI is in the bullseye of that. It informs all of that.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to jump into what you do, Jen, because again, that comes back to what we're just talking about. You work with the DEI program that we provide to these clients, and it's transformative and it's crucial for a workplace to be including it. So I want to have you paint us a picture of what you do day to day before I jump into that.
Well, there's a lot of components here. So I would say the first thing that we do in our client journey that's one of the most impactful is we really set the tone, right? We really pour into, this is a judgment-free, safe space to be really transparent about what's going on here. And we do that through leveraging different tools. We have baseline surveys, we have DEI quarterly assessments, where we look at individualized areas and we really hone in on opportunity for growth, right? We really identify, here's what your workforce says, right? So not just the working group, not just executive or C-suite who's at the table, but the entire workforce. Here's what they say about the environment, because a lot of times there's a disconnect. So then that informs the messaging that we send out that says to the entire company, we hear you, here's what we value, and we get that alignment in. And then we take it a step further. We identify action steps and we create SMART goals around that. So now we can measure the effectiveness of what we're doing. So a lot of my day-to-day is looking at the data, analyzing the responses, and identifying areas of opportunity, and not just how to implement action, but continue to measure if it's impactful, effective, and efficient. And that's kind of what we repeat go through as we build out a program. So it's really tailored to their individual needs. Another piece of that is consultancy. It's having the conversations, leaning into the uncomfortable, leaning into those hard pieces so we can then transform that on the other side and create the best opportunities.
Yes, yes. And so another question I had for you, when you're making all of these tools and these programs and going through the data, as someone with this DEI lens, what are some key things that you're keeping in your mind while observing this and creating, responses when we present these to the clients of this is what we think the next step should be? What are you keeping in mind when doing that?
Absolutely. So I'm looking at what their initial goals are, right? When we first meet, when we're first discovering things, what were some of the initial goals? And are those aligned with what the feedback is from the workforce, or do we have a disconnect there? Because a lot of times we recognize different positions in a company have different opportunities, and they also have different experiences, right? So I may be speaking through my experiential lens, but that may be disconnected to what maybe someone in the field is seeing. And we do see, with proximity bias, we do see access to leadership, different things come into play where the experiences look different. So the first thing is really making sure we have alignment and understanding where our disconnects are and how we come to really bridge that. And then once we've bridged that, how do we continue to inform? We hear you and what you say has value, and here's the action that's happening from it, right? We have to repeat the messaging, not one time, not two times, but we have to do it through action. We have to do it through communication, and we have to do it through constant touch points. We have to continue to inform, because that's how you really empower, energize, and activate your workforce and engage them.
Yes. And on top of empowering and energizing, can you touch on why it is so crucial now more than ever and transformative for a workplace to be including these programs and tools? Because we have talked with some clients, hasn't been a thought yet, right? Until we come along and we present this as this is great for your workforce, because what are some transformative results that we see?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, number one is we understand that people want to bring value. They want to feel empowered in their workplace. And traditionally, it was this mindset of you do the task and you get a paycheck, right? That's kind of how the structure was set up for a long time, where now we're saying, I want to play a role. I want to be a piece of the company culture. I want to make sure that my thoughts, my ideas are expressed. Secondly, I want to come to work as my authentic self and be able to thrive. So that's what we talk about in setting up an equitable work environment. The next piece to that is really understanding through a lens of what's the business case, right? Let's call it what it is. So we know you get more innovative ideas, right? You bring more innovative ideas. As a result, you have happier, more engaged employees when they feel heard and welcomed and they're happy, thriving. And as a result of that, companies that have at least a 20% diversity increase within their fiscal year show up to a 38% profit increase.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And go
ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say something else that I find interesting is that a lot of times art imitates life. And so it brings me back. I mean, it's not really art, but it is because it's content. I think about like the social media, like TikToks and videos, and how so many of them are talking about, I don't want to say toxic work environments, but work environments that could use a little bit more of diversity, equity, or inclusion, or just, can you hear me, please? I am here. I am working for you. Can you not, underappreciate me, if you will. And so you're seeing that a lot. And I bring that up to say, because you see it a lot in so many places. And so I really commend, especially our clients and our brands that are like, no, I want to change that narrative. I want to make sure that when my employees come to work, it's not just the little box on the concierge desk that says file a complaint, like it's legitimate lived out things that we can do and we can change. And that's that equitable piece that's kind of new, because it was just diversity and inclusion. And now it's like, no, I want a seat at the table. I just don't want to know where the table is. I want to be able to sit at it and say, here's my box, or here's my post-it note, or whatever the case may be. So I laugh at it because art does imitate life, but then it's like you see these things playing out, not only, on social media, but then also within your work environments. And so I think definite thumbs up, as Jen's just walking us through that process, definite thumbs up to our clients that are saying, we're not doing that. We're going to do something else. So I think that's cool.
I have noticed that a lot recently. I feel like maybe it's just the new generation of the workforce. You have remote work, like what we're doing. You have a lot of different things now, but not only that, people are now saying, this is how I deserve to be treated at work. This is what I deserve to see at work. And so it's employees and employers coming together to make the workplace correct, like to make it nice, right? So that you feel heard, not just feel heard, you are heard. And your opinion is valued, and what you do in the company is valued, whether it's trade or corporate or whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. And, specifically in construction, this is very important because right now, let's dive into some numbers, right? Let's go into the statistics of things. Again, the average age of employed construction workers is 38 years old. We want to bring young talent in. Jen, I know you're about to say something. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, I was just going to say, with females in the industry, this is a repeated theme. Every time we measure the baseline, this is something that we consistently see. And you will be amazed at some of the really cool ideas and opportunities that the employees have come up with to try to get more leadership to be females, to create anything from mentorship programs, training available, to even outsourcing different professional development tools that they're bringing. Right. So it's really interesting when you listen to your workforce, sometimes they already have your solution. Mm-hmm. It's just creating a voice for them to share it.
Creating a voice for them to share it. Absolutely. Yeah.
We should put that on a t-shirt.
Creating a voice for them to share. I'm over here like marketing, like, I like that. Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, it's such a stark contrast that we're trying to not make so stark anymore. We want to take that gap away, get those women in leadership. We know what we're doing, and again, the age 38 years old, it's young, but at the same time, there can be younger. There's so much new talent out there. Speaking of which, our generation, Gen Z and millennial, are the most diverse yet, right? So we work at ConstructReach to make sure that young talent is being seen, recognized for what they can do, but also ushering them into the construction industry while making sure that industry is ready to accept them, right? And all of this allows the industry to better serve school counselors and to educate high school students about construction opportunities. So, Jen, do you want to touch on how we connect educators with the industry a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So not only do we serve as a resource for tools and education on our app, right? But we also truly serve as a connecting piece. So we identify what partnership really looks like for educators and GCs, right? It's all about meeting them where they're at and giving them the tools and resources to strengthen and grow to be able to do it. So as we're doing that, we look at what opportunities there are and then how we come along as that support between the industry and the educators to facilitate those opportunities and allow that relationship to continue to strengthen and grow, creating a diverse talent pipeline for the future.
Yes.
And I'll just have to say the really cool piece about that is that working with the educators, one of the things that they want is we want to know what they want. And now they've been given the voice to say, I can stop talking about this in my internal meeting amongst, my district counselors. I can have these conversations and then watch the action that closes that gap little by little. Again, giving them that equitable voice. And I think that's key, not only as it pertains to this industry and these conversations today and what we do, but that equitable voice piece is key everywhere because overall, it's the communication, but now that communication is being heard and it's having an impactful change. on how things are being done. And I think that's so cool, only because, I mean, even here, we're a very diverse team of three, in a number of ways, one of them being age. And that I know when I was in high school, you know, we had the trades, but it was like, okay, if you want to do that, great, go to Hallway B. But if you want to go to college, you know, here's this prep rally, and, you know, but now those times are changing. It's cool because that equitable piece is what's helping to close that gap. So I'm really appreciative of that.
No, I love that we as ConstructReach are able to equip educators with that knowledge and information to enlighten their students. You know, for a lot of these kids in high school, I know for me anyways, I had parents that were helping me lay out all of the opportunities, and the teachers would kind of assist with that. But in some places, the kids, all they have are these teachers to tell them these are your opportunities. This is amazing for you because you can do this, right? So a lot of students will get that from their teachers. So if we can come beside the teachers and provide them all of this information and the opportunity to give to those students, it breaks any barrier in the middle, right? And so over the last couple of years, we have been able to connect multiple general contractors to students, interns, and prospective employees through educators and through the education system. We've also created the ConstructReach social network, which is called the ConstructReach Community. It is on both Apple and Samsung app stores. It's a community for general contractors to list jobs, and for prospective employees and interns to find them. And it also shares construction industry insights, which is, you know, really fun. I love hearing all of the interesting facts about construction. So we also, on top of that, to really connect with the schools and the students, we created the I Built This campaign, which we talked about in our last episode, the team episode. So if you guys want to hear more about that, just click back to the other episode. We have a lot coming up in the fall. We have many. So let me read these dates off for everybody to hear. We have St. Louis in September on the 14th and the 15th. We have Kansas City also in September, 20th and 21st. Atlanta, September 27th and 28th. LA, October 4th and 5th. And then Detroit, October 18th and 19th. So ladies, how excited are you for this? It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot, but it'll be fun.
It is. We're going on tour and we are bringing reachable opportunities through construction, right? So it's exciting. It's really fun. There's something about being there like that day when you see the change that happens from, oh, I kind of knew about this too. I built this, I did this. And it's really exciting, like not to be punny, but when the light bulb goes off, like when they actually learn how to wire it and that light comes on, you see the change of, I just did this. You see the excitement, you see the empowerment. It's a tool and a resource and a stepping stone, right? For them to create this life that maybe they've never been exposed to or had. And that is the coolest thing for me. That was my favorite thing about IBT, outside of the awesome food, the dancing, the energy, right?
Oh, I'm so glad you touched on that, because we talked about this in our team episode. You weren't there in person. We were at Cooley. Unfortunately, you had COVID, but we all talked about our favorite pieces of IBT. So I'm glad that you got to share yours. It really is such an amazing experience. And I'm very excited. Will we be tired after? Yes, but a very good tired, you know, a successful tired.
It will so be worth it, because I think about the IBT Chicago, where we had one of the students who literally caught the metro bus to get to us. And she's like calling me on my phone and she's like, hey, I don't even know where I am. I'm like 4 or 5 blocks away. I can walk. And I'm like, first of all, don't do that. We'll come get you. But then because I'm still in contact with her. And so it's like, she's like, you know, hey, I want to be a part of the union, or hey, I want to do this, or hey, I want to do that. And I still get to facilitate those pieces of that relationship to help guide her to her dreams. That is just, oh my gosh, it pulls on my personal heartstrings. And to watch that piece of it.
Yes, yeah, we are so excited. It's going to be a blast. So guys, be sure to follow us on all social media to keep up with that. We're going to have a live stream during that as well. All social media handles, are at ConstructReach. One word, all lowercase. We will also be vlogging, like I mentioned in the last podcast. So that'll be coming to you guys as well. You'll get a little behind the scenes look of I Built This. And yes, we're just so excited. Well, thank you both for being here and talking to me today about, you know, how we come alongside of our partners and how we develop those DEI programs and tools. And jumping a little bit into I Built This, we are really bringing construction into the future while introducing it to the future at the same time. So thank you both for being here. And any last words for our listeners?
Thanks for having me. Come join us.
Yes.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And it's a privilege to walk alongside this journey every day and bring reachable opportunities through construction.
Awesome. Well, you guys both have a great day. And to our listeners, make sure you follow us on all social media. And we will be back with another iReach episode with yours truly, Paul Robinson. Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning into our show. Remember, like, share, subscribe to the podcast, and join the movement as we reach to build a better future that we can all be proud of.